Hi, I'm Lynette Shy, and this is Megan Wertz, and we're with Confluence Art Solutions. And this is this month in arts marketing, and it is May.
One of the things that has been on my brain lately as we've been heading into the quote unquote off season for a lot of our performing arts clients is the idea that your off season is not necessarily kick your feet up and relax time, which I don't think anybody ever necessarily feels like they're kicking their feet up and relaxing. But one of the things that I've been wanting to make sure people are getting ready for is that this downtime away from putting on shows and actively being in a season is that you are getting ready for next season with as much breath as possible. It doesn't mean like, oh, we'll get to it in August when you launch in September, when you open in September. It's like May, June are great times to get started for that. So you're not last minute. Um, the words I've been using for it is planning does not equal preparing or prepping.
Okay.
You can sit down and have as many planning meetings as you want. Be like, oh my gosh, we want to do this and this and this. We made a pretty list and we sent it out in an email and notes after the meeting and said, this is what we talked about today. And then literally you never get to it because there was no prepping that was actually done. You
Yeah.
say, this is the content we want for next season, or these are the lobby events that we want to have going on before shows next season. And then you just go, oh my God, that sounds great. And then that's it.
And nobody actually takes control of it and moves it forward. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that happens a lot. I
Yeah,
do.
planning does not equal prepping.
Yeah.
Planning is the first step.
Mhm.
Then you actually have to start prepping that thing. And honestly, this isn't like I'm thinking of any experience or talk that we've had with anybody recently. I'm just imagining that this is something that happens for a lot of people this time of year. And just to catch ourselves before we get into that mode.
Overwhelmed. It's also too like kind of hard to believe we're almost to June at this point, and the year's halfway through, and it's just like a reminder of how fast stuff goes, and then before you know it, you're out of time. You know.
And with that being said, like take your vacations. If you have that time planned this summer, take it, enjoy it, unplug, wipe work from the brain, and then come back ready to keep working. It's the balance of both.
Yeah, rested, hopefully, a little bit
Mhm.
at least. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at too when it comes to like things that are top of mind is like just kind of surviving the first five months of trying to make it through everything, and now like a little bit of a break, but not stopping the momentum. Like we can't stop
Mhm.
the momentum. But we have to take care of ourselves too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. The idea of giving yourself the break from the burnout
Mhm.
without crashing so hard and not getting anything done in order to rest that you are causing yourself more burnout next season
Sure.
or
Yeah.
when you get back.
Yeah, good point.
Mhm. How to achieve that is not, I don't have a perfect science to it. I would love to know how to perfectly rest and then come back like ready to go. But um we'll all try to figure it out together.
I
Say
think beaches help. The beach helps me.
that again.
Not everybody is a beach person, but that's my
Mhm.
rest.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Outdoors, water,
Outdoors.
getting away from
Yeah.
screen.
So what else is new? Anything happening in the social media world that you're
Not as much drama as there was during the first 5 months of the year, the first 4 months of the year. There wasn't quite as much drama. I think in the same thread of current seasons are kind of wrapping up for most people. Next season is in like planning stages and getting ready to go stages. One of the things that a lot of people are pushing out on social media right now are subscription packages, season announcements, and stuff like that. And one of the things that I have been focusing on when I work with people's budgets for this kind of transitionary period, if you're in the current budget but planning on stuff that might go into next year's budget and all that stuff, is, as we all know, performing arts, nonprofits, arts organizations, that whole group of industry, budgets are not unlimited. Budgets are not crazy. We are not Nike. That's always my example. So we don't have the marketing budget of Nike. We have to be really strict about what we use our pennies for, our dollars for. And one of the ways that I've been making sure that I stretch the budget to the max right now is any messaging that is going out for subscriptions is going to specific audiences of people that we feel would be the easiest
Mhm.
to convert to subscription package purchases or whatever your style of subscription package style ticket sales is. Because if we put general ad dollars to the general public behind a subscription push, it's pretty likely that the majority of people you're going to reach when the goal is reaching a lot of people, a lot of new people, if they haven't seen a performance by you before, they're not going to want to buy tickets to an entire season yet.
Nope.
So we've been recommending looking at people who have bought 2, 3+ tickets within the last 1 season or 2 seasons, finding those people who are kind of behaving like subscribers and have not actually made the jump to purchasing a whole package, getting their information and uploading them as a list to wherever you're advertising, and hoping that when those advertisements reach those people, it's reaching the right audience that's ready to make that purchase versus a general audience who doesn't want to buy a subscription the first time they hear about you.
Right. Yep. Great advice. Yeah.
So money and messages go to specific types of people based on what you need from them, what you're hoping to get out of them, what you're hoping to inspire in them. And you just had a fun thing going on. Here I am talking about me stuck behind a computer for the week, but you got to go be with some amazing people this week.
I did the Arts Impact Conference. It was fun. It was really, really fun. Um, Lots of amazing artists. It was great. They did performances and had artists there. And it was really, it's always fun to be in a room of people that love art as much as you do. So, yeah. And it was, I presented for, one of the workshops was one that Confluence presented. And having all those people in the room thinking about arts marketing is always that's my jam. So that was fun.
Nerd out a little bit.
Yeah, I do nerd out, and it was fun. Lots of really great questions from the people. A lot of arts admins are in, challenging spots. Like, you and I know that, because we talk to people every day. But I always like getting some of their questions and their hopes and dreams and concerns, and seeing if we're able to alleviate some of the concerns and give them some tools. Yeah, so that was good.
To learn more about the challenges that we can figure out how to help
Yes. Yeah.
people with.
Yeah. So that was fun. And they had a session. Her name's Priya Parker. And she wrote a book called The Art of Gathering. And that was really, really interesting to me, because, it's kind of what arts organizations do, is create a gathering of people, especially performing arts, this gathering of people. And she talked a lot about like the sense of belonging that people have when they're there, which we know from all of the studies and stuff that have come out, how important fostering that sense of belonging is for just the general public at all. Like right now, they need that. And so that was really great. She talked a lot about creating an alternative world for people, which I think is what arts is really fantastic at. And she did say, like, arts, this is it. You guys are the people that change the world. You create that world that then becomes comfortable for people to then take out into the bigger, broader world. She talked a lot about like conflict resolution. That is one of the things that she studied and like does is conflict resolution.
Between people or between people and the experience of gathering?
Between people. Yeah. And the experience of gathering, and it was just like it kind of shifted the thought of gathering. Because it wasn't specific to a party or a theater or anything like that. It was about when 3 people are together, Like, what is the dynamic of that gathering, and how do you create an effective gathering and an effective meeting? Talked a lot about meetings that don't accomplish anything. And I think what it
Okay,
ultimately,
yeah.
right? Like what it ultimately drilled down to, and I think she put it in a really great context of like, what is the purpose? And we say that all the time. What is your goal? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? And she was like, everything you're doing, every meeting, every gathering, there should be a purpose. Even if that purpose is just to connect with other people about things that you all, agree with, or even if it's to connect with other people and have hard conversations and ask hard questions, like what is the purpose and the goal of that? And I think a lot of times, um, we don't necessarily identify what the purpose is. We just do a lot of what we're doing because it's always been done. And we talk about it all the time. Just because you did it before, do you still need to be doing it? Why? What's your why? And that's kind of what that was. What is your purpose? What is your why? What is your goal? And identifying that first and then planning around that. So we were very aligned in our thoughts. So I really appreciated that. And she was, fun and witty and quite entertaining. So they gave us a copy of her book. So I'm already,
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
I'm already in it, like I already started reading it and stuff. So I'm super excited to finish it. It's some great stuff. Yeah. So speaking of books, besides Priya Parker's book, which I just started, but she was fantastic. Oh, I don't have it in here. But there's a book called The Art of Business that I'm gonna mess up her name, Aubrey Barm. I can never say her last name. We'll put it in the, we'll link it below. It's amazing. It is an amazing book that I wish I would have written because it is, again, like the context around art being a business and looking at it as a business and looking at it kind of like what Priya said, with goals and purposes and your why in mind. Like, are you tying it back to business metrics? And why
Yep.
it's important in order to grow and be sustainable long term. So I thought that
Yeah.
talk about that.
That's making me think a lot about specific goals and specific reasons why, which I think is a lot of the time what will catch people on is they have a broad why and a broad goal, and we're like, okay, but that's casting a very broad net.
Mhm.
It's a lot easier if we are honed in on exactly what we're doing and can, again, effectively use our resources, our money, our time, our people, our mental health to pinpoint exactly what we're doing. And it's making me think of like advertising for subscriptions. We could put our money and get it to spend all these words, spend all this money to reach all these people, but we don't know who in there wants a subscription versus us saying, we want people who want subscriptions. Here's a group that seems likely to do that. Let's put our money on those people specifically.
And why dilute the message? If you're like, the goal of marketing isn't to just blast it to everybody. The goal of marketing is to find the people that want what you have. And like, why, they say spray and pray, right? Like you just put everything out there and hope that
I've
someone.
never heard that
You never
before,
heard that?
no, but that's so accurate.
But like, instead
Very
of
real.
like, let's find the people that are showing behavior that they're interested in what you have to sell to them, and then let's put it in front of them and people that are similar to them.
And what I will say is let that come from a mixture of gut reaction and data, because it's not going to be the same audience every time. It's not going to be just who you think it's going to be. And it's also maybe bigger than exactly what data and statistics and ticket sales, if that's what you're looking at, are showing. So it's kind of like a mixture of both, and you have to play with it, and it's going to take some time to experiment with it and figure out how to grow those audiences. But it's like when somebody says, who do you want to come to see your art? And they say, everybody. And it's like, do you really want everybody?
Not everybody. Like,
Do you want newborn babies? Do you want people from a different country? Like, I don't know.
there are
Like,
always parameters
what's
around it.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And they do, that is, same thing with their marketing budget. A lot of times it's just like, oh yeah, we have $20,000 to spend on marketing. Okay, but do you, like, how are you spending it? That like you need to break that down further.
Mhm.
It's all about thinking through a whole through line. Yeah.
That's a big one, looping back to this planning and prepping season for next year, is if you give yourself a $20,000 marketing budget, but you're not exactly sure how you're spending it and allocating it, how much is for digital, how much is for printing flyers, posters, window clings, any of those things, how much of it is swag that you might be giving away at events and such. If you just start spending out of that 20, you will reach a point where you go, oh crap, we've already spent the 20 and we still have this much left of our season because you didn't have it allocated and spread out.
Yep. Yeah.
Part of why having your season and all of your events decided on so far in advance is so beneficial, so that way you don't get stuck in this season right now starting to advertise for the new season without really a decided upon budget yet.
That got brought up a lot. So in the, the presentation that I gave this week, it was about, going from reactive marketing to proactive marketing. And I think the biggest thing that I heard was, you expect me to plan 12 months ahead. And I was like, yeah, I do. And like, people were taken aback, I think, a little bit. But that is how you go from being completely stressed and having constant unexpected things pop up, and then not being able to handle everything, to still having the constant unexpected things pop up, but the main priorities that you've identified are planned for and are happening automatically. Yeah. And so that was funny.
We clearly say this a lot, and I know we do, but like, it's reaffirming to me that we say this a lot, because one of our clients this week, while you were at the conference,
Okay.
I was saying, if you can get in touch with get connected with your executive director and start sitting down and working more diligently on your budget for next season, it'll get us set up as we start these next season advertisements. And they were like, oh my gosh, I know our executive director is going to be like, what, we're talking about next season already? And they were like, we'll just send them a video of Megan and Lynette talking about it. So I was like, oh, we must really talk about it all the time.
We need to send them a video of people saying like, oh my gosh, now that we're planning so far ahead, life is so much easier. That's what we need to send, because that is the end result. And I won't preach anymore about that, but
we will keep going.
and I know it's overwhelming to people. And so I heard that a lot too. So, and I do think one of the things too is mapping out. Someone asked in the session, like, how do you analyze and have the time to do all that stuff every day? And my answer is, you do not have the time to do that every day. So that's when you set aside, 2 hours a month. And that is when you're going to go look at all your analytical data. The difference, of course, is being, if you're ticket sales, you have to look at that weekly. When you're leading up to it, and then daily when you're almost there. And then of course, ad performance, we look at that daily.
Flow of to do your tasks. There are daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly, quarterly, seasonally, whatever.
Yeah. So
it feels like a reset right now, which I feel like we said in January, getting ready for a new year. But I think the truth is, for most arts organizations, if you have a season and it's typically fall through spring, January isn't necessarily too much of a flip in your work. And I feel like I'm feeling that right now this year specifically. Like, this timing is very like, okay, there's a little bit of a reset. I'm flipping calendars, I'm flipping budget spreadsheets, and I'm kind of getting stuff set up in a
focus on the new. Yeah. Just stay on top of the AI stuff. I am really paying close attention to that.
Any fun updates that you have learned about AI recently?
I mean, just the stuff is changing daily. And that, I still think live events are going to be super important in the future, like as we said. And I do think, if you haven't already started having the conversations about how you're going to work with AI as an organization or as an artist, you need to start thinking about that if you haven't started doing that yet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Other than that, I am ready for a vacation. I'm ready to reset and start looking at next year. I'm happy with this year, like how things went. I feel like, most people that we worked with were successful.
Mhm.
year.
Yeah.
And ticket sales and mental load and,
Mhm.
you know, expanding and all of
Yeah, I really would
that
say so.
growth and stuff like that. So I think that was good. So we should recap ourselves too.
Yes,
You know,
I
how
know.
we
It's
did.
true.
So
Listen to our own advice.
yes.
Like, we have to do that.
All right, everybody have a good month. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next month, and we'll have some new and fresh ideas for how to start the new fiscal year, new season, and all that good stuff.